So the thing that was causing us problems and kind of the biggest disappointment of this truck after the auction was the way it ran as far as the idle. Couldn't get that fixed. We fixed all the vacuum lines best we could. Looks like they put a new carb on it. So anyway, that was our problem. We couldn't get it to idle right. Couldn't get it to really run right. Anytime we brought the idle below about 1400, it just choked out and died. So we decided we're going to do what a lot of other people do, and we're going to order the stuff to try to fix it. So here's what's in the box. So, all right, let's open that thing up and see what we find. All right, let's go if you can read upside down. There you go. That's what we got.
It's a cool box.
It is. So we got to say Weber Carb. So we're going to go ahead and get this out of the box. I'm going to show you what that looks like without taking 5 minutes while we do it. And then there's more stuff in there. So here, we'll go ahead and finish opening up the stuff and show you what we got. All right, everybody, there's what we got. So that's the Weber Carb that we're going to put on here. And the air filter there. So that means we get rid of the big tube that goes across the whole top of the motor. And then, you probably guess what that is by what you can see, but instead of buying the adapter kit to be able to put the Weber on the stock intake manifold, we just went ahead and bought the kit from that had
LCE.
Yep, it's from LCE, but this is the Offenhauser intake that's made to go with the Weber. So this means we get rid of a bunch of other stuff. Got the plate on the bottom as part of the install kit we bought too. So we got our sticker here, but this is where we ordered everything. So there's that for you. But that's the carb, and this thing looks really nice. So that just bolts right up on there. No adapter kits or nothing. And then we bought the master install kit too, or something like that. So it comes with, and some studs. So we'll pull the rest of this stuff out and then line it all up and show you what we got. All right, here we go. So what we got, pulled everything out. So there's the Offenhauser intake. It's got that's part of the install kit. You can see LCE even puts their own, like they engraved that in. The carb, the filter, hose, some gaskets and stuff, and then other pieces that came with it, like block offs for some of the openings, some plates, different things. This goes on the bottom of the intake with a gasket and all that. There's your gasket to install. And then here's our fuel pressure regulator, because this thing has to run at like 3 pounds or something. And then yes, that was the delicate gauge that just crashed on the thing. But, that's our gauge there I'm trying to film. So anyway, that sets the fuel pressure for you. So that's all the parts and pieces that we got in this box. So all of that together is what we're going to put on the truck. However, in order to do that, we got to start taking a bunch of stuff off of here. So that's going to be step one, is taking everything off the truck. So come back and we're going to start working on getting the stuff off the truck, which you'll be surprised, I think, how much comes off in order to get this little bit of stuff back on there. Okay, we're back. It's been, I don't know, a few weeks actually. I don't know, we've just been doing other stuff, trying to organize, went fishing, things that kind of took us off task. And since we have running cars, we weren't on a time crunch for this thing. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump in here and start working on this. Step one was to drain the coolant that we had just put in there. If you watched some of our last videos, we didn't know we were gonna be changing this out at the time, but brand new coolant is now gone. But we did that because, as you can see, we got the radiator hose goes over to the thermostat housing on the old intake. So the old intake, carb, all that stuff has to go away. So we drained that. Hopefully we drained enough. We didn't drain it out of the block. Maybe we should have. We'll figure it out. We'll either have a mess or we'll be fine. But regardless, it's just coolant. is what it is. So we're gonna start disconnecting a bunch of hoses and stuff, get the carb out of here. And once we got the carb disconnected and out of here, then we'll go ahead and see what that hole looks like. So let's go ahead and start disconnecting 74,000 vacuum lines, and then we'll get this carb yoinked out of here. So there we go. There's the old carb out on the table. So coming over here, this is the hole. Got some spacers.
Gasket, spacer gasket. Intake.
So that's the hole. These are some vacuum lines that come across, which I believe we're removing all of. But anyway, you can see down here to where everything, all the stock stuff. So now we're going to start working on vacuum stuff, to include that big can right here that he just wiggled. So, all right, we're going to start working on trying to get some of these vacuum lines and stuff out. That EGR back there is going away too. So, all right, we're just going to keep digging away here, getting rid of some of these vacuum lines and big canisters and stuff to just free up more and more space, get this radiator hose off, things like that. So let's get a little work done here and see what else we can pull out of here, and see where we get. Here we go. Alright everybody, we've been doing some stuff, probably seen the fast forwarded video with some music, but okay, that's chicken. Anyway, we took the this hose off the top here so it wasn't causing us any problems sticking out there. And we've been going through, we ripped a bunch of the vacuum lines and everything off best we could. Came up here, disconnected this, so I just pulled that bolt out right there. Pop that off, put the bolt back so we don't lose it. So that goes to this set of hard lines. We pulled the EGR off, that goes right there, 3 bolts. You know, we've pulled a few things out, all that stuff. So here's where we are now. These are some more vacuum lines that we just haven't taken off because they're kind of part of the intake, but we're gonna go after the intake now. Start working on that, because you can see that holds the hard lines right there. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and start unbolting the intake. All right, guys. So we were struggling around with some stuff, trying to get the intake bolts out. there's hoses, it's all kind of stuff goes up underneath that intake manifold. And that was the most frustrating part, is you can't see a dead blasted thing you're doing because it's all underneath. But if you look here, so there's your 6, 3 on top, 3 on bottom. So you got 6 intake bolts, and 5 bolts and a nut there. And then back here, you've got 2 bolts and a nut holding this together. So, I don't know. Maybe there was supposed to be another one right there that wasn't there. I don't know. Anyway, we got those things undone. Of course, you got this contraption here coming from the exhaust. Our EGR's been pulled off from right there. We pulled some more hoses, more stuff out of the way, disconnected a wire that goes to a piece of the intake. All that's over here. So here's the old intake. This is the bottom of it. This is the wire that we had to disconnect, but we also unbolted it from here. So that's that piece right there. So we just unbolted it. Those are the fuel lines, which also bolt to this piece. So those 2 bolts that are kind of halfway out, all that stuff. So those are bolted up underneath. Found that you need to move those to be able to get to some of the bolts. Disconnect all these hoses, all kinds of stuff on this thing. And then this is the top. So you got your sensors and stuff over there. Anyway, that's that. I think we obviously still need to use that. But we'll get some of this stuff put in our bucket of parts and figure out what we need to save. Our bucket of parts is over here. Kind of hard to see because it's dark, but I've been keeping all the original stuff, so if anybody ever wants to go back that way, they can. So this is where we're at. I think we're also going to have to take that box off so that we can then block off right there that connection from those hoses, and or we're just going to have to go ahead and order the exhaust manifold that gets rid of those pipes, and then we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, we'll figure that out, because I feel the dinner break coming on before too long. It's already hot in Florida, down here sweating. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. So we're going to take a deep breath, get a drink, and then figure out the next step. All right, quick update. So the day that you've seen us working, we took a break. We're not back at it yet. We'll probably do that tomorrow on Sunday, but we shoved stuff in here so things won't get into the cylinders. And we took the big hose off the PCV valve up there just to clean that up. And then we took the intake out of here. So this tube, right? So you can see right there where there used to be 2 bolts. So there was like a baffle there. And then the intake tube kind of came through that hole right there and came across this way and went over to the actual intake. So that's gone now. So when you look at this, that's just cleans that whole side of that up a lot. There's just nothing really there. So now, what I also figured out was our kit, we did not have the air injection blank off plates, but we're going to take this plate off, which is just where the heat would come up into the intake and help warm up the air, I guess, on cold mornings. Not that we have that problem in Florida. And then the air injection comes in right here. So what you got to do is take these tubes that go around the back of the motor. You can see them right there. That's where they come off the block right there. So you just get some block off plates. So we're going to go ahead and pull this this heat funneler off of here, get those pipes off, get all that stuff off, and then we'll be able to see the exhaust manifold underneath there. Those pipes go around the back of the motor, and then they come back over here to this thing, which we're going to get rid of that too. You can tell we've already got the EGR off. We do have the plate for that. we got to take this piece right here off. We got a plate for that. You got to take that tube right there off, and then there's a block off plate for that as well. So those are gonna be the things we'll be working on next, but yeah, we're gonna get back at it tomorrow. All right, well, it's not tomorrow, but it is another day. So we're gonna go ahead and get to working on these. We got 3 different bolts here to take off so we can get this shroud off. Those are 12 millimeters, by the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on these things and hope they come off, and show you what all that looks like once we get in here. Okay, we got our 3 bolts out, and then this thing just comes right out. So that was the easy part. Now we're gonna go after those connections right down in there where those pipes connect. This is the plan, so that we can get all these pipes out of the way. And then I don't know, we'll see if we put the cover back on, because you can, because it bolts into the exhaust manifold and we're not replacing that. So I don't know, we might put that back in or just leave it like it is, because all that thing really did was channel some hot air into the intake, which you don't even have anymore. So we'll see how we do this. Okay, we went in here and got after these. I just went ahead and loosened them for you to not have to watch me do that. But anyway, these are 14 millimeters. So doing this exhaust work is interesting. 12 millimeter, 14 millimeter. I'm using some sockets I don't use a lot, but that's what they are. So basically, so these are nuts, these are bolts. The kit we got came with new bolts, so I guess longer than these. So anyway, that's, keep doing that. These back here are loose too, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting all these off. I did have to go after this back one because I mean, you can get in there, but it's kind of a pain. So I just use a wrench, came over the top for that one. But otherwise, this is all ready to go. So I'll get those all out, and then we'll see about pulling that set of pipes out. Okay, so we did the other side. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this side off, because clearly the pipes don't come all the way out by themselves. They're just wrapped all around the motor, and they wouldn't, nothing's that easy. So anyway, there's 2 bolts here that we have to take out to disconnect the pipe from this box. It's a 12 millimeter. I already loosened them so I can get them the rest of the way off. But then this box, I can't see it, but I can feel it, and I know there's a bracket underneath it that holds that box. So that will be the next thing we go after. But I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect that. And then over here on this side, there's some screws right there that connect that. But what I'm hoping is, you know, once I can disconnect this side, I can move somewhat to get to those, because they're kind of hard to get to where they are with those pipes and stuff in the way. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pop these bolts or nuts off, and then see where we can get. Okay, coming back with you. So that's out. Basically what you got to do is just get those 2 off, and then it just pries out fairly easy off of there. But the problem with that is, since it's connected to the other side, you need to make sure you have the other stuff done. And I realized I missed a bolt. So I did go ahead and have to take those 3 off of there. Those are 12s. The ones on the other side are 12s. But then right here, that was one more bolt that you can see connects the back side of this to this whole deal, right? So anyway, so that's loose, but as you see, that gets caught up in this, and vice versa on the other side. So it takes 2 hands to kind of wiggle stuff apart. But now that all 3 pieces are separate pieces, and all the bolts are out, it'll come out pretty easy. So anyway, that's what we're doing right now. So we're gonna go ahead and get that all out and move on. Okay, so we got that side off. There you can see that. We just have to clean up those gasket surfaces there before we put our blank off plates on. That piece is still there. I got to wiggling it and realized it wasn't coming out. So something else must have been in the way, and it was. I don't even know if I can show you. Yeah, there it is. So that bracket right there in the back holds one of those pipes. So it basically supports that apparatus. That's a 12 millimeter. So you got to get in there and get that sucker. And then this pipe should come out. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, this thing's loose. just like up underneath. So one on this side and one on this side. There's two 12mm bolts that you just have to undo, and then this thing comes loose. So I've already undone those for the most part. Yeah, you can see there. So I just got to finish pulling those couple things out, and then we'll be have this thing out of the way too. Okay, that's out. You can see right there where those two bolts went. That's out of the way. So now I think there's two things left I got to remove, which is this thingamajig right here. And then we have a blank off plate for that, and then I got to remove that right there. So we'll go ahead and work on getting this thing off. And hopefully we're done removing stuff. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that used to be over here is not, and then as well as over here. Like I said, I don't know if we'll put that heat shroud back on and cover this exhaust manifold up or not. That's up to my son, what he wants to do. But yeah, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But definitely gets a lot of stuff out of here. I mean, like I said, you got all kind of things. So let me get these last two things off. At least as far as I know, it's the last two things we need to do. And then we'll have to figure out what to do as far as putting stuff back on. All right, went in and did all the breaking everything loose. So these two are loose. So hopefully this thing will come off. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure that out, because I just realized that goes to that. So there's two more bolts underneath. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and jump over here, undid those two bolts, which you do from the front, and then a bracket bolt right there. So that'll come off first, and then I'm gonna have to do a little more investigating, because that pipe also goes around the other side. I gotta figure out where that goes. All right, here we go. Been another day or so, but anyway, that's off. Now for this thing, I went and did my research. So yeah, those are these are 12s under here. These are 10s. I've already got them loose, so I can take that off. And then that pipe goes around. That goes up into the heater core. Now we have a block off plate to replace this, and then that leaves you with this pipe right here that's going to go into the bottom of the new manifold. So I looked over here, and you can see you got your little 90 elbow here that screws in. Then you got the place for your hose to go on. That screws in the bottom of the manifold, or in that plate, which goes there. And then this feeds into the water, that goes around into the front of the block, which these two holes here will still have water flowing through them. So that's where you'll continue to get your water moving through the block for your heater core. And then up here is where your thermostat is, and that little hole feeds up into here. So yeah, you can see right there, that little hole comes through. So did that research. Now with that, once I pull that part off, I'm gonna have that pipe, and I'm gonna have to modify that pipe. So I'm gonna end up having to cut it. So I just ran over to the plumbing section at Lowe's and grabbed me a little pipe cutter, so I can use that to cut this pipe. I gotta find the right place to do that, but probably gonna be right back in like this area, and get that cut off, and then get a piece of hose and go from that pipe up to that fitting, and then that fitting screws in the bottom of that. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get working on that as far as getting this stuff off, and then I gotta go get a piece of hose and that kind of stuff. But that's what we're gonna end up doing. So let me get to work. Okay, back with you after I did a little work here. So we've got that piece off. I don't even know what that thing did. I looked in there. I didn't even see how the vacuum had anything to do with anything, but doesn't matter. It's off now. So anyway, we'll move on. But I went ahead and took off the, there's a bracket back here that holds that pipe on. So I took that bolt off, and then over here is right there, you can see where I took it off that side. So now I can get it out of there, and I can cut it over here on the bench and make a nice cut. All right, so there's the pipe You can see where that little bracket piece is. That bolt right there is what holds it in, 12 millimeter. So that's off. So I'll probably cut this thing right in this area right here. That way it'll have, because the hole on here is right there. So I looked to see where it was, and so if I cut this here, then that'll give just a little bit of pipe before it gets to the fitting. So that's what we're going to do with that. I guess worst case, if we were going to revert, then we'd have to buy that. But everything's out of here. We got a little F1 qualifying going on right now at Monaco, so that's good. Here's what I'm going to do. This has been kind of a in-depth what you take off kind of a thing, and we're where we are as far as taking everything off. Don't need to take anything else off of here, and now we start working on putting stuff back together. So what I'm going to do is end this video right here and leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So if you want to see it all put back together, you're going to have to come back. So that means you need to hit that subscribe and button down there. There's something that, like the alarm button that tells you when we post new videos, those types of things. So anyway, this is it all apart. I'm going to go upstairs and eat a little bit of Mickey D's breakfast, finish watching some of the qualifying, and we're going to leave you at this point and come back at you when we're ready to start putting things together. Probably while we're at this point, before we start putting too much stuff back together, we're going to go ahead and yank that valve cover off, because right there is the new gasket and that kind of stuff. So we'll probably just go ahead and do that while we're in here, because I don't know, it makes sense to do it now instead of waiting until we put everything back together and then doing it. But so that may be a video in the future as well. So anyway, that's what we're going to be now. So come back and see what happens when we put all this stuff back together.